It's now time for our last award of the evening. It's the Global Benefactor Award. And let's welcome Laura Furstenthal, Principal of McKinsey and Company, who will present that award. Laura?
Thank you, Jeffrey. I'm Laura Furstenthal. I'm the managing partner of McKinsey and Company's San Francisco office, and I'm very excited to be here today to present the 2014 Global Benefactor Award. I feel a bit compelled to ask, since all of my fellow presenters did, how many people in this room have an education and are grateful for that privilege? This year's honoree has demonstrated immense courage, impacting access to education not just for a city or a country, but for the Earth's population. It is rare, but sometimes an idea scales across countries and cultures, uniting people in a common cause, and generally making the world a better place. The Global Benefactor Award is about stepping forward with energy and conviction and contributing to the betterment of society and the world around us. This year's honoree, again, could not be more deserving. When the announcement came that the Churchill Academy had selected Malala Yousafzai to receive this award, we at McKinsey could not have been more excited. The award gave us pause, a chance to reflect upon how significantly we have been influenced and inspired by Malala's sacrifice, her personal contribution to the lives of girls around the world, and their fundamental right to an education. We're also humbled to have played a very small role in that story. A dear friend of Malala's, Shiza Shahad, was working as an analyst in McKinsey's Dubai office when she heard that the Taliban had tried to assassinate then 15-year-old Malala for speaking out about girls' rights to an education. My McKinsey colleagues were in full support of Shiza as she went on leave to go to Malala's side to help her with recovery. The two of them then went on to found the Malala Fund, of which Shiza is now CEO, and another of my colleagues, Lynn Taliento, has joined the board of the Malala Fund to help with the cause. Malala cannot be here with us tonight for very good reason. She's in school. Just as she is likely to be for many Septembers to come. Therefore, let me call up Susan McCaw to accept the award on Malala's behalf. Susan is a founding board member of the Malala Fund, former US ambassador to Austria, and by the way, and we're very proud of this, a former McKinsey analyst. Susan, we're deeply honored to present Malala with the Churchill Club's Global Benefactor Award.
Thank you. Great. Thank you. Oh, sure. Sure.
Okay,
Great. Thanks, Laura. Thank you. Okay, great.
Shall we run the film right away, or how do you want to
Sure. There's a short film that Malala sent, so maybe I'll just tee it up. 2 weeks from today marks the day in 2012 when Malala was shot. This was the day when gunmen boarded her bus, her school bus, and they asked the simple question, who is Malala? And that question changed not only the life of Malala, but really sparked an interest and galvanized the world on the importance of education and equality. So what those gunmen failed to realize, when they thought they were trying to assassinate Malala, what they really did was encouraged her and gave her confidence to speak out even more bravely on her cause for education for all girls around the world. So with that, let me tee up
if you'd run the video, please.
we have.
Dear Susan, thank you so much for being there on my behalf. Thank you so much for being a friend and for your contributions to the Malala Fund. Thank you so much, the Churchill Club, for this wonderful honor. I'm really sorry that I'm not there, but I'm 17 years old. I have to continue my studies, work hard, so I'm really sorry I'm not there. This award has special meaning for me because Winston Churchill, he has been an influential leader, and he has many contributions to society. He stood up for freedom, and he struggled for human rights. So I think it's really great honor that I am receiving this award, and I'm really thankful because it really strengthens me in my campaign for education when I see that people are supporting me, they're joining me in this campaign, and I want to see every child going to school. My dream is quite simple, and I stood up for this dream because when I was 10, 11, I could not get this opportunity to go to school. I was out of my school because at that time the terrorists, the Taliban, they stopped girls' education. They were against the freedom of women. And at that time I spoke, I raised up my voice, and I said that if I want to go to school, then I should not wait for someone else to come and speak for me, but I have to do it. I have to go and I have to do this campaign. And the Taliban, they targeted me, but they did a big mistake because at that time I was speaking up for girls in Pakistan, girls in Swat Valley, but now I'm speaking up for girls all around the world, girls in Nigeria, girls in Syria who are now deprived of this basic human right of education, but they're also now homeless. Many of them are refugees in Jordan. I also went to Nigeria on my 17th birthday to speak up for my Nigerian sisters, and there I met so many girls and even boys who cannot get education, and it is their dream. They want to go to school. When I went to Jordan, I met Mozoon. She's an amazing girl. She wants to become a journalist. She wants to contribute to her society. And I asked her that, what is your dream? Do you want to be a rich woman, have a big palace? And she replied to me and said that she just wants to go back her home and she wants to get education. That's her only dream. She's not asking for any Xbox or PlayStation. Her wish is to get quality education. So I think it's very important that we think about these children and to think about their future. We, the Malala Fund, we have started projects there in Pakistan, in Jordan and Nigeria, but still we need to do more, and we need to continue this campaign until we see every child going to school. So once again, thank you so much, and I'm really happy and honored that you are with me in this big cause, in this big campaign of education. So thank you so much once again.
Wow. So Malala mentioned some early. So first of all, what is your role in the Malala Fund?
I am a founding board member, and my connection is actually through Shiza Shahid as well. Our foundation has supported educational efforts, one being scholarships for developing country students, and this particular scholarship was at Stanford. We've gotten to know several of the students from the developing countries. We've had a few from Pakistan, one of whom was Shiza. So Shiza every summer would go back to Pakistan and work. She's a social entrepreneur just by nature, would go back and try to help out her country. One year she heard about what Malala was doing. This was in 2009. So Shiza formed a summer camp for Malala and a handful of Malala's friends to help empower them to speak out about education.
Time out. Malala's 10 years old.
Malala was 10, yeah.
Like most 10-year-olds, right?
Yeah, 10 or 11.
Yeah, but that's just wow.
And
wow.
But Malala had already started. She had already started the blog, and
talk about the blog a little.
This was a blog for BBC, and it was an anonymous blog, and she wrote about life under the Taliban. And it was, very heartfelt. But again, it was from the vantage point of a 10-year-old, and through that she gained recognition. And there was a New York Times writer who followed it and ended up doing a larger story on it. And that's where I think Shiza had heard about it. So she had organized a summer camp. Got to know Malala, and Malala's family, became a trusted advisor. And then fast forward several years, when Malala was shot, the family called upon Shiza, who took a leave of absence from McKinsey. I had been in close contact with Shiza throughout, and so when I knew she was doing this, we were encouraging her. And it's been phenomenal. It's been quite a ride, because this is a young woman, Malala, who people thought would not survive this gunshot wound. She was flown out of Pakistan, courtesy of the UAE government, to Birmingham in the UK, and there she underwent treatment and miraculously recovered with some great medical assistance. And their family still remains there. They live in a house there with her 2 younger brothers and her parents.
Wow. Well, that's an amazing story. She mentioned, she said we're starting some projects, I think in Nigeria and several other. What kind of projects is she involved in, or is the fund involved in?
So the fund has 3 different missions. Its mission is to support girls' education through three different ways. One is through advocacy and to advocate on behalf of girls at the local, national, and global levels. Second would be to amplify, and to amplify specifically girls' voices, to encourage them to speak up for their rights and for the freedom to go to school. And third would be to invest in local programs that are providing real-life solutions in some of these countries.
And so what is that? What does that look like? I mean, if we're going to get education to girls in a society where the society is structurally kind of in resistance to that, what kinds of things are people trying to do?
Well, there's many different stakeholders. So, for example, at the UN, there's a global partnership for education, and Malala and her father have been very involved in speaking out on this behalf. And then country by country and region by region.
Does it tend to work through the government as opposed to grassroots? Is it
Both.
Both ways. Well, you mentioned her father. So what role did her father play during as this entire thing was unfolding?
You know, it's really interesting because her father really, in a patriarchal society, you know, as it is in the Swat Valley, he's very different in the sense that he always felt that it was important for girls to have an education and to have equality. And he himself saw it in his own family. He and his brother went to school, but his father did not have his sisters go to school. But for some reason, he felt it in himself that he wanted his daughter to be able to be equal and, you know, to shine. You know, in his words, he views education as emancipation and freedom. So he was always at the forefront of this. And even before Malala was born, he was an educator. He opened schools. He's a teacher. So he sort of gave her the support she needed. And there was a TED Talk he was in this past year, and he mentioned that it's not what he did, it's what he didn't do. And that what he says he didn't do is he didn't clip her wings. He allowed her to fly by having this education.
Now, you mentioned you're involved with the foundation. You talked a little bit about the Clinton Global Initiative recently. Are they getting also involved in this girls' education thing as well?
Clinton Global Initiative definitely is, yeah. They realize it's a very important issue. I was there earlier this week, and in fact, there was an announcement yesterday where the Malala Fund will be working in concert with the Brookings Institution and Acnita Giving on supporting girls' education, specifically at the secondary level.
Wow, great. So just closing, we talked about the fund itself, and one of the points you made was it's important that it feel like it's an indigenous fund, that it not be people from, you know, highly developed economies coming in and try to run things for other folks. How are you trying to structure the fund in a way that sort of retains that local flavor and voice?
Yeah, through different realms, through the board, through the projects that we support, through fundraising activities, through where Malala spends her time and where her voice is heard. Because I think there is suspicion that this is just another Western-focused plan to help the global South.
Well, hateful people would want to put a hateful turn to everything.
Yes, and she, you know, Malala has an amazing voice, an amazing opportunity, and I think the moral authority to go out and speak in a very forceful way on the importance of girls' education and making sure that this is a right for everyone. And we as Americans know that we have to fight for certain freedoms, and she totally really understands that message, that this is something that she feels is her cause. I mean, I don't know if many of you read her book, but there's one quote that I really liked, and I think it's been requoted many times, where she says she does not want to be remembered as the girl who was shot by the Taliban. She wants to be remembered as the girl who fought for education, and she wants to make this her life cause.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, listen, thank you very much for being here on behalf of him. Thank you so much.